Okay, so we only have about 8 minutes remaining then, and actually one of the questions I got from the audience is about AI, and so the question from one of the audience is how do you think about the development of artificial intelligence?
Okay.
What's the impact on the economy?
All right. Right now, the biggest thing in financial innovation is fintech, bringing technology, high-speed computers, big data, and artificial intelligence. I like to call it, and I come from MIT where a lot of this was all invented. And I think my colleagues there who are specialized in artificial intelligence would agree. No one thinks that human beings are literally going to be replaced. Yes, some jobs are going to be, but the human beings are, we're going to become obsolete. And so something like augmented or assisted intelligence is maybe a better way to think of AI than artificial intelligence as a replacement. Now, let me say to you, specifically in the field that we're in, that you're in and I'm in finance. The story that you hear is, if you're an advisor, you better look for another job because a piece of technology like this one is going to replace you. And it's going to have something very smart in it, in fact, smarter than anybody or smarter than you are. And so that's what's going to happen. First, they'll get the average, and then they'll get the smartest one. That's the story. What is true, there will be jobs lost. There will be activities that people now do in the finance industry that will be replaced as they have been elsewhere and as they have been within finance for decades. The good news is, or I think it's good news, I'm happy about it, I like my job, is that technology by itself is not trusted. Now, what do I mean by that? This is an Apple phone technology. Very well-known technology, right? And I can say, okay, Google, and it says, listen, and don't worry, this isn't true. I'm a little along in age, and that knee doesn't work so well. In fact, it's pretty painful. Maybe I need too many miles on it and have to fix it. So I say, okay, Google, what should I do about my bad knee? And in 12 seconds, it comes back and says, cut it off. Do you need to translate that?
Okay, just go ahead, please.
Okay. I say this to get your attention. Now, world-class technology, world-class name. Do you think I'm going to do what it told me? No, I won't. How about you? If you were me and it was your knee and you got that advice, would you do what it was told to do? Anybody? Put your hand up if you would. Nobody. Don't feel badly. I've done this everywhere in the world. Asia, South America, the United States, Europe, Australia. Nobody put their hand up. What's the message? The message is that unless it's transparent, this isn't transparent, you don't know what's inside here, or verifiable, like Alipay or payment system, where I try it, it works, I try it, it works, my friend tries it, it works, you try it, it works. So even though it's a black box, I'll use it because I can verify. But if you cannot verify, and it's not transparent, you have only one choice. You have to find trust. Because there is no alternative. If you can't, transparent, you don't need trust. Verify, I don't need trust. But if I don't have two of those, what is something in finance, a big area, a high value area of finance that has that characteristic? It's financial advice, the things we're talking about. Let me just remind you, it's certainly clear that active investing, not mechanical index, but active investing, can't be made transparent. Too complicated, just like surgery can't either. So it's not, can't be made transparent. Now, what about verification? This is a calculation that an AI machine would do. So it's going to come up with the same answer. If this gentleman hired me to manage his money, and I started managing it today, and the only thing he can look at is what happens to his portfolio, keep it simple. How long would I have to manage his money before he could get a statistically significant conclusion that I'm a good manager or a bad manager? Do you need to translate this?
Okay. Let me try to
Make
summarize
it fast,
here.
because we're running out of time.
Yeah, okay. Please go ahead, actually.
Okay, sorry about this, but, you know, get a friend to tell you. Okay, how long do you think it would take? 1 year? 3 years? 5 years? All right, I'll tell you for 5 years. He can get that result in 5 years if I earn him in the next 5 years, every year, an average of 47% a year. Or I lose 12% a year, every year for the next 5 years. If that happens, at 5 years, he'll get significance. Do you think that's likely to happen? 42% a year, 47% a year, whatever? No. Do you think it's likely I'm going to lose him 12% every year for the, you know, on average? No. That's just a way of saying you're kidding yourself. You won't get there at 5 years. And if you do 10, it doesn't change that much. The answer to the question I posed is somewhere between 40 and 400 years. What is the message? It's not practical to think you can do verification. You may not like it, but that's a mechanical answer. That's the same answer the AI machine is. If you want to know what to do, take a t-statistic or p-value, if you know what there you are, plug in, write down t-statistic of 2, which is a very low level of significance. GPF, IF would not hire me with a t-statistic of 2, okay? And no drug would get approved if the clinical outcomes had a t-statistic of 2. So that's not a hard one, okay? So what's the story? You're going to have trust. That changes the equations. Because if you are trusted, and trust is both trustworthy, but also competence. If you are trusted, and you have the trust asset, if you're my client, you're trusting me because that's your only choice. If I have him, I have the trust asset. I can use your technology because I can verify that the spreadsheets I used to do by hand for him for 10 years, I can run them through the machine and see if I get the same answers or better. So I can verify. He doesn't know what's going on, but he trusts me. You get it? Who's in control? Is the machine going to replace me? No. Because you already just proved it. None of you would do what the machine told you, even though it was a well-known machine, unless some element was introduced of trust. And I remind you, it was wise to do that, because this machine, everything, including AI, is a model. Models are incomplete. Watson and Crick's model of what became DNA was a good abstracted model. It worked. Linus Pauling, who won 2 Nobel Prizes, but not that one, didn't. So unless you know it's a good model or a crummy model, a model that just somebody took it, walked into a bookstore and just put it in here. And the data in the model, is it complete data? Is it dirty data, biased data, or maybe no data at all? And lastly, even if you knew the finance model or the medical model was a good model, and even if you knew the data were okay, what was the motivation for building this? Of the builder, not yours. I built it, or he built it. What if it's a body parts company who's trying to get a supply of body parts? I hate to be crude, but I'm trying to get your attention. And that the advice it's giving is not in the best interest of me, but is in best interest of the body parts company. You don't know that either, unless by some mechanisms you get trust. So my message to you is, if I'm his advisor, he wants advice, knows him, he says, can you give me someone who you can trust? Because all of us need trust for this. The whole point is you have no choice to trust. He needs trust. He says, come to him. He comes to me. Unfortunately, he doesn't have as much money as he does. I don't mean in the real world. I mean, so I have to say, I'm sorry. I would like to help him, but it would cost me more to take care of him than he can pay me. But what if I got a machine that made me more efficient? Because he didn't need as much as he does, but he needs as much trust, probably more trust. Just because he has half as much money doesn't mean he has half as much trust. Trust is an absolute in that sense. So if I get this machine that allows me to help advise him at a low enough cost, now he can become my client. Now I have two clients. I'm growing. Did I lose my job from the technology? No. I got bigger. I grew. I'm trying to use the story for you to see, think about an alternative narrative. I say the narrative that you've all heard, we've all heard, we're going to be out of, it's all going to replace us, has the assumption that technology by itself is trusted. And I just demonstrated to you that technology wasn't trusted. Not a single person in this room would listen to this technology. Now, it doesn't have to be about cutting your knee off. How about putting your money in Bitcoin? Or how about putting your money in private equity? Or how about putting your money in, Thai real estate? How do I know? Is that any better than the medical equivalent of saying cut off your knee? I have no way to know, and therefore I won't trust. I need a mechanism. I've run over my time. I thank you. But I will say this. Trust, in the context I'm talking about it, is an asset. You all see, you know what assets are. I'm not talking about being a good person, which is a good thing to be, or trying to find somebody who's trustworthy. I'm talking about building a business model that encourages, that proves to people who don't know you or are not members of your family that your business model will engender trust. In particular, a business model that doesn't have conflicts of interest. So there are such business models. So there's an organized way in business to do it. The other big place where trust comes in is regulation, whether it's in medicine or in finance. If you're a regulated entity, that helps engender trust. Now, if it's bad regulations, well, a bad doctor, a bad anything. But do you understand? That's part of why we have regulation, is to provide trust for things that we can't see and not transparent. It has nothing to do with education. And by the way, I'll tell you, because there are in this room anyway, the rooms where I asked the question about would they do it include many, many millennials who are very facile with technology. You've heard, oh, the young ones who know how to use these things for everything, they'll trust it. No, they don't. It's the same proof. It is true that if they're facile, they're more likely to use technology. That's different. But they will not just use technology if you have a need for trust. So I'm sorry I took you an extra 8 minutes. I promised you that I wanted to bring that. I think it's a very different narrative. In fact, it can make you, those people who are in that position, more successful, more influential. And remember this, every time you bring a piece of technology into the process, like this, you reduce costs, you get more accuracy, you free up people. That's the good part. You're increasing opacity. I used to do my own spreadsheets. That was transparent. Now I put it in a machine. That's not. Is that bad? No, because I get benefits, and I could verify, so I'm willing to do it. But understand, opacity has gone up every time you put the technology in. What's common sense tell you then? Is the trust asset going to be more valuable in the future when things get more and more and more opaque? Again, not in every area, because if it can be made transparent or verified, you're vulnerable. You may have heard blockchain. That's kind of the technology under Bitcoin or whatever. And it's kind of the poster child for the fintech and how it can disrupt things. You will hear people say, blockchain has the feature, it doesn't have to be trusted because it's just true. Nonsense. Blockchain doesn't grow out of the ground like a tomato. Blockchain is a concept. It's an idea. It's a development. We build models to implement blockchain. And as we all know in your own profession as security analysts, there are crummy models for doing security analysis, and there are good ones. They're all models. They're all security analysis. But you wouldn't trust any model just because it was technological. You have to know if do you think it's a good one or not. And that's also true of blockchain. I don't know whether the person that put the blockchain I'm selling to you in this product did a good job. Very hard to verify. I don't know if the person who designed this put a trap door in the program, and when all your money goes in, they open the trap door and it ends up somewhere else in the universe, but not with you. That's trust. So I'm trying to give you a set of concepts to think about. I'm not giving you answers. I don't come to tell you what to do. But I hope this evening, with you making this big investment of time to come and listen, that if you can walk away with just stimulate your minds to rethink some of these things. The issue of trust. What are the implications and what's the narrative of that? And how that can be a very different story. Your certification process is part of the trust. You're a regulator. You set standards and ethics. Why? Well, it's a nice thing to do, but you do it because you do it to help engender trust in your profession. And that's why people will listen to you if you can get their trust. So I'm telling you things that we all know, but maybe this is a good time to revisit those things we all know. Thank you very much.
最後すごく大事なというかいろんな面白い話があったところでどうしよう時間なくなっちゃってますけれどもキーワードだけ最後におさらいさせていただきますと先ほどありましたように膝が痛いというふうにスマートフォンに尋ねたら切っちゃいなさいというふうに言われたとそういうのを信用しますかとそれは皆さん聞かないわけですよね。ですからテクノロジー AI であるとかそういうテクノロジーが進化していっても非常に重要なこととしてトランスペアレント透明性であるとかベリファイアブル確認する術があるということが非常に重要になってくるはずだと。 でファイナンスという分野自体が非常にトランスペアレント、透明性であるとか、確かめることができるということが非常に難しい分野であるという、そもそも難しい分野で、モデルがあって、それにモデルに入れるデータが正確かどうかというのを我々利用する立場としては理解できないわけですし、そもそもそういう技術を作った人たちがどういう動機で作ったのかと、あなたのために作ってくださったということではないわけですね。そこを確認できないわけです。そういうことを考えますと、テクノロジーの進歩というのは非常に大きな要因ではあるんですが、そこで重要なキーワードとして出てきたのが、トラスト、信用という言葉なんですけれども、信用をいかに得ることができるかということが非常に大きなキーワードになってくるだろうと。で今後は非常にいろんなテクノロジーがあったり進化したりするでしょうけれども、その中で、トラストというのが逆にですね、信用を得るということは、アセット、資産になっていきますよというのが先生の大きなメッセージだったのではないかなというふうに思います。ちょっと駆け足になってしまいまして、私も時間ばかり取っちゃってなかなかお役に立てたかどうか分かりませんけれども、ありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。